even Amazon Music. Some podcasts will charge you for anywhere from a few hundred to a few $1,000s for a quick 30 to 60 second spot on their show. You contact me today, though, at authoriantotten@gmail.com. I'm going to give you the best price going in podcast advertising today. It's not going to cost you hundreds or thousands of dollars. In fact, we can get your ad on the air today for about the price of a tank of gas. And if you contact me today, I'm going to give you 2 weeks for the price of one. Again, that's authoriantotten@gmail.com. Contact me today and take your business to the next level. Now, back to our case. Now, coupled with Justin Smart's story about possibly dreaming or having seen the murders taking place, other members of his family also came to law enforcement's attention, one of whom was his mother. Somewhere around the time of the murders, Marilyn Smart claims she found a bloody jacket in her basement that resembled Tina Sharp's jacket, and Marilyn said she had turned this into the Plumas County Sheriff's Department. Now, the Sheriff Department insists that it never received such a jacket. The person who really drew investigators' attention, however, was Marilyn's husband, Justin's stepfather, Marty Smart. The interesting thing here, however, is Martin Smart seemed to go to great lengths to provide investigators with information on the case. And this started with his proclamation that a hammer had been stolen, because at that time it wasn't common knowledge that another hammer had been used in the murders. So the police started looking at Martin Smart and his friend John Boudet pretty hard. In fact, they even interviewed both men and learned that they didn't know each other extremely well. Martin had met Boudet a few weeks before at a VA hospital where he was recovering from PTSD, as Martin was a Vietnam veteran. Bo ends up moving in with the Smart family after getting discharged. This was supposedly just until he could get onto his feet. One interesting thing about Bo, however, is that he made no bones about letting people know that he had connections to the Mafia and was in fact a Mafia hitman. Now, this has been neither proven nor disproven, but it is known that he was at the very least an associate of the Chicago outfit. Which, if this were the case, then Bo would have no qualms about committing murder, nor possibly would Martin, as he is known to have seen combat in Vietnam. Now, Marty and Bo both had a ready-made alibi, which is that Marty had convinced Marilyn to drive the two of them down to the back door, which was the local bar. Along the way, they stopped at the Sharp household to ask Sue if she wanted to accompany to them, and she declined this offer. Anyway, they went down to the bar, which Marty had worked at as a chef until a few weeks prior. The two men stayed at the bar drinking for some period of time before Marty began to become angry over the music that was being played, and they decided to leave and head back to the Smart household. And another bit of weirdness in an already strange case, Marty told police that he was so angry over the music that had been being played, he decided to call down to the bar and chew out the manager. And not long after this, he and Bo now resplendent in leisure suits, headed back down to the bar. And people did actually see the two of them at the bar dressed like this, and those who came forward to police said that both Marty and Bo were acting oddly. Now, Marilyn stated in later years that she was awoken at some point after the men came back from the bar the second time to find them burning something in the fireplace in their cabin. And there's been some speculation that this was evidence from the crime. A number of people have also gone on the record stating that both Marty and Bo hated John Sharp. Remember, John was known as a bit of a troublemaker, a little bit of a partier. So that could possibly give some motive. But Marty also did his best to implicate both he and Bo in the murders. At one point during the investigation, when the Plumas County Sheriff's Office was talking with Marty, he had what many people see as a Freudian slip, where he said something to the effect of, he, meaning Justin, is so quiet that he could have seen me committing the murders and I wouldn't even have known he was standing there. That, coupled with the fact that Marty brought up the missing hammer, which police, again, had not released to the public, made him the number one suspect. There are also people who say that Marty and Sue were having an affair, and that Sue had either threatened to tell Marilyn about this affair, or in fact already had. And this is bolstered by the fact that the two of them, that be Marilyn and Marty, were having difficulties in their marriage, which were not specified beyond the fact that he was adulterous and abusive towards her. After giving these statements, someone from the Plumas County Sheriff's Department tipped off Marty that both he and Bo were suspects in the case. In fact, they were the number one suspects. And the two men fled the area pretty quickly, with Marty going to Nevada. And I've read two different versions, one that Bo went to Oregon, the other that he went back to Chicago. At this point, the case went cold and remained that way for a while. Sheila and her surviving brothers were sent to Oregon to live with family, and they were split up among different households. And from all that I have seen, they are doing well. All of them have grown up to be productive members of society. I have had a couple brief conversations with her a few years back when I was trying to get a YouTube project together, specifically focusing on this case. She seems to have grown into a strong, deeply spiritual woman, which isn't surprising given what she's had to endure, especially from the internet community of armchair detectives, some of whom have decided that she is in fact a suspect in this case, which I find highly unlikely. Now, the case might have gone cold, but it was far from over. And this is one of those parts of the story where I'd said at the beginning that it kind of ties into the area that I was living at in California. On April 22nd, 1984, which was just a little over 3 years after the murders, a bottle collector who was searching an area called Cabin 18, which is near Feather Falls in Butte County, discovered a cranium and a femur. Now, the way this ties into where I was living is that Butte County was the county just below where my family and I lived. We lived in a place called Tehama County, and this is the far northern portion of California. You're talking, 3 or 4 hours north of San Francisco, and it is extremely desolate, rugged terrain. There's a lot of mountains and fields, and in the summer, rattlesnakes everywhere. And I'm sure some of you who follow true crime are curious as to why bottle collectors always seem to find bodies. The reason for this is in California, you can make money from turning in cans of bottles to recycling centers. Where we lived, as well as down in the Bay Area, it's really common to see people walking on the side of the road or diving into dumpsters looking for them. So this bottle collector, he finds these bones in Butte County, out in the middle of nowhere. And Butte County is only about 100 miles from Keddie. He contacts the Butte County Sheriff's Department, and they come out there. They found a blue nylon jacket, a blanket, a pair of Levi Strauss jeans with a missing back pocket, and an empty surgical tape dispenser that matched the type of tape that was used to bind the victims in the cabin. Shortly after the remains were found, an anonymous call came in claiming that the remains were those of Tina's, and actually this call wasn't written down in any evidence log, but in 2013, a deputy who was working the cold case actually found a recording of it in the bottom of an evidence bag. At any rate, in June of 1984, the remains were positively identified as those of Tina Sharp. The case pretty much went quiet after that. There have been a few serial killers that have tentatively been linked to the case. Otis Toole and Henry Lucas, Robert Joseph Silveria Jr., but all of them have been discounted. Bo Balbaday died in Chicago in 1988, while Marty Smart died of cancer. And again, here's the other connection to where I used to live in California. He died in 2000 in a place called Redding, California. You might see this on some websites such as Wikipedia stating that it was Portland, Oregon. Well, actually, it wasn't. It was in Redding, California. So that information is erroneous. Redding is probably the largest city in that area outside of Chico, but it's still fairly sparsely populated. It's a type of place where it'd be very easy to go to and disappear. In fact, a lot of people do go to that area and disappear. The Bay Area of California, which is, San Jose, San Francisco, they are known to force people that are on their sex offender registry out of their counties up north, which has created a lot of friction between the Northern California and the Bay Area. The people that go up there, nobody knows them. They just kind of blend in with the scenery, so to speak. And it seems that's what Marty had done. He went up there and just kind of lived quietly before dying. Now, on March 24th of 2016, a hammer matching the description of the hammer Marty claimed to have lost was discovered in a local pond up where the Keddie cabins had been, and it was taken into evidence by the Plumas County Special Investigators, who were headed by a man named Mike Gamberg, who stated that the location it was found, it would have been intentionally put there. It would not have been accidentally misplaced. He also said that there were potentially 6 other suspects that they were looking at. It was also learned during this time period that after the murders, Marty had fled the area, as I stated earlier, and he'd gone to Reno, Nevada, and he had sent a letter to Marilyn ruminating on the struggles within their marriage, and he concluded this with,